Finding my G spot, I know sounds a little salacious, but it was really finding Garcelle.
This is not your first book, but it is your first memoir. So why
Yes.
is now the right time to tell your story?
That's a very good question. I'm not second guessing it, but it's a little difficult to sort of share everything, and that's what I've done in the book. The timing for me really is about I feel good where I'm at. I feel like I have done a lot, and my story I hope resonates with a lot of women, immigrants. I mean, there's so many different facets to it. Coming to the United States when I was really young and my journey from learning to speak English from Sesame Street to my days in Hollywood and my modeling career. So I share a lot, which I've always been open, but I've gone a little deeper this time.
Well, you use the word journey, and I want to start there because at the beginning of the book, you talk about your journey to finding your G spot. So, can you explain what you mean? And does the journey continue after the book?
Yes, I mean, finding my G spot, I know sounds a little salacious, but it was really finding Garcelle and having a
Mhm.
little fun with it, finding me. And I feel like I am a work in progress. Even though I am now in my 50s, I'm a mother of three boys and a grandmother. I'm still learning a lot about me. And I think that's part of the journey. Like we're never truly done.
I think that a lot of people can relate to that, allowing ourselves permission to be a work in progress. We're not perfect, but we can get better. And I think through it all, one of the takeaways is that despite any adversity you faced, you always had fire. You never lost your fire. I think right now, after 2, 3 years of a pandemic, a lot of people might feel like they've lost the fire. So,
Yeah.
can you talk about your fire and keeping it going and burning and where you find that flame over and over again?
Yeah. I'm glad you said about the pandemic because I feel like this has changed so much for a lot of people and me included. When it first happened and we were on lockdown, I really had to find my way because I am so, always so busy. And that distracts me sometimes from things that I need to deal with. And
Hmm.
having to be in the pandemic and staying still and being home was definitely a challenge for me at first. And it was something that changed me in a way because then it made me really realize that stillness is not a bad thing. So I think in that, my fire is, I don't know where it comes from. I want to say maybe it's my Haitian roots. Maybe it's being an artist. But that fire for me is I've always want more. And it's not about material things. It's really wanting more for myself, whether it's growth, whether it's spending time with my children, whether it's getting to know me. When my divorce happened, although I was a working actor, I carried a lot, being married carried a lot of weight for me in terms of like, I loved being married and, taking care of my household and my children. And when that went away, I really had to reassess what do I like to
Mm.
do when I have my free time because I wouldn't have my kids all the time. So I had to sort of reinvent and find myself again, which I think we do in life anyway, right?
Yeah.
You come out of college, what am I going to do? You get married or get a divorce, what am I going to do? I'm an empty nester. What am I going to do? I think we all sort of reassess. I tend to just do it publicly.
I think that is so interesting because, as you said, we all go through different phases. It's just that traditionally, the woman's
Mhm.
story ends at like having kids. And we don't tell the stories of women in their 40s and 50s who are like, searching for that next chapter. And I think that
Exactly.
speaks to diversity and inclusion. Like all stories need to be
Mhm.
told. And I think that's what you've been doing throughout your career in life, coming to America, going to Boston, then New York, modeling, acting. So, what does that diversity and inclusion piece mean to you now?
Yeah, now it's a whole other game because not only am I starting over in terms of in my love life, but I'm also trying to navigate, what it means to be in your 50s. And I'm so happy the whole stigma of women after their 40s, they're no longer viable, they're no longer, sort of worthy. I think the game has changed and thank you God for that. It just feels like diversity and inclusion matters in so many ways. I want to talk to other women who are going through the same thing or who can relate and say, you know what? I didn't think I was going to get divorced, but now that I am, what do I do? How do I figure it out? And I think we're
Hmm.
talking more. We're having conversations that our parents didn't have because it was sort of taboo and you kept everything, at home. And now I feel we're having conversations, and I hope people read my book. It's funny, it's sad, it's mindful, talking about, being a single mom, raising boys. My son yesterday just said to me, he goes, Mom, Valentine's Day's coming and there's a girl he likes. He goes, what do I get her? And, it's just, it really warmed my heart. One, that he wanted to have that conversation with me, but also it's also shaping the new generation that boys can talk to their moms about anything and it's not taboo. Whereas I don't think I could have had that conversation with my dad growing up.
You know, as we mentioned, you've had such a varied career and life that you're sharing in this book, and new chapters. This chapter of being the first Black woman to be cast on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. How did it feel to be the first when we're talking about inclusion? My goodness. And what made you want to sort of jump in?
It was definitely exciting until I realized the pressure of being the first Black woman on that
Yeah.
franchise. Definitely exciting, definitely noteworthy. To me, I feel like we have to show representation everywhere. And
Hmm.
90210, the zip code, is no exception. I know a
Hmm.
lot of friends that live in Beverly Hills that are, either brown skin or different ethnicities. So when that happened, I thought it was about time. And it's been challenging. I mean, listen, it's a fun show, it's a glamorous show, but we've had to have conversations that they never would have had if I had not been on the show. And not necessarily me, but a Black woman.
Well,
Yeah.
including conversations about Black women's contribution to the powerhouse that is the reality television genre. You cannot separate the fact that reality TV is such an integral part of our TV consumption. And yet,
Really.
white women do things on reality TV like flipping tables, and they get talked about in one way, and Black women do the same thing and they just get described another way.
Oh, absolutely. On TV or off TV.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things that was really important to me. Coming on the show, I didn't want to depict what people thought I should be. I really just wanted to be me, be bold, be funny, be a good girlfriend, be glamorous, all those things, and also be a mom. But I did not want to be cornered into the stereotype of being an angry Black woman because that's not who I am. So
Yeah.
that was the pressure I felt being on the show. I didn't want people to feel like that's the only way you see us. And so I was able to be myself. And as it turned out, it was a good thing. The fans, rallied around me and understood that was important to me.
I think that, as a non Black person, I'm learning to be more sensitive and aware about the experiences, especially someone who works in entertainment, of Black women who I interview and cover. While it's not your job to create space for people, given that,
Yeah.
Black women have historically been portrayed a certain way, I know that there's a responsibility. So, how do you feel about that relationship between wanting to be a good representative and creating space for other women to join you, but also just kind of wanting to be Garcelle and not having to like
Right,
carry a burden?
exactly. Yeah, and it's so many times, we have that burden, and yet other people get to just walk through life and just live their life, right? But that's okay. It's my burden to carry, and I'm fine with it. I just feel like it's important for us to show us in so many different ways because we
Mm-hmm.
come in all different shades and ideas and how we want to represent ourselves. So I just wanted people to see me as me and and let them see a different version maybe they're not seeing on other shows.
So, as you're writing this book in this stage of your life and looking back
Yeah.
on the previous iterations of Garcelle, what are you thinking? Anything you would do differently? Anything you've learned about yourself that you didn't know that you were back then?
First of all, I don't believe in wanting to change things because I feel like everything that I went through brought me to here, the heartache, the pain. betrayal, the feeling of abandonment, all those things brought me to where I am today. So I wouldn't change that. Although there were times maybe I would have, but I also feel like I am enough. I didn't know that. I didn't know I was enough for the longest time, and not meaning enough to everybody, but just knowing for me that I don't have to please. I'm a people pleaser. And I
Yeah.
think I'm still learning how to be okay with just being who I am.
I love that. I think that that's one of the hardest things to remember is that there are days, it's okay to have the days where you're just not 100. This is a tough business that you're in. I mean, lots of businesses are tough, but especially for a woman to have the longevity that you have had,
Yeah.
and you're still going with books and the TV show. So, do you think about what you want your legacy in Hollywood to be?
Oh, I think if I think about a legacy, I first go to my children. I really want my children just to be proud of me and see the fact that where I came from, I was able to achieve this. So that doesn't define, it defines me in a way, being from Haiti, but it also, I hope my kids, what they take away from what I've been able to do is that I feel like I'm the little engine that could, despite of everything, right? And so my
Yeah.
legacy in Hollywood, she never gave up. That would be the phrase that I would use. She never gave up.
Oh man, I love that so much. Thank you so much, Garcelle, for your time. I
Oh,
really
thank
appreciate
you
it. Our
so
show
much.
appreciates it. What a great conversation. And congratulations on the book. Thanks for watching Etalk. Make sure you hit subscribe for more celebrity interviews and entertainment news. And while you're here, why not watch another video? I know you want to.